Fergie. They're the kind of people who never met a billionaire they didn't want to hang around with.
Fergie was £4 million in debt at the bank.
The witnesses who've shown that she was staying at these properties for years after she claimed to have cut off links, including the doorman there. The doorman would all get dressed up when Fergie was staying.
Picture a woman who scrubbed toilets in a mountain cafe one day and became royalty the next. Sounds like the ultimate dream, right? But what happens when that dream becomes a decades-long nightmare of crushing debt, shocking scandals, and embarrassment that never ends? This is Sarah Ferguson's story, a woman whose fairy tale marriage led to one of the most spectacular financial disasters in royal history. Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew are divorced, but they're still united by something stronger than marriage vows.
Now, I've always considered the post-divorce arrangement between Fergie and Prince Andrew to be more than a little odd.
Money problems. Massive ones. According to Andrew Lowy, both have made seriously questionable choices when it comes to cash. The proof? Fergie sent emails begging Jeffrey Epstein for loans, actually promising she was on the sex offenders team. Yes, that's real. That alone shows how desperate their money troubles became. Sources say she owed him around £2 million. $2 million. As one insider put it, both Epstein and Sarah Ferguson don't deal in small amounts. Two separate sources confirmed the exact same figure, from toilet cleaner to Royal Highness. Before the diamonds and disasters, Sarah's life was ordinary. She's talked openly about working humble jobs, cleaning chalets, scrubbing toilets, and waiting tables in a strudel cafe. Then 1986 happened. She married Prince Andrew and became Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of York.
Out into the sunshine they stepped to face those crowds for the first time as the Duke and Duchess of York.
Overnight, everything changed. But like so many outsiders joining the royal circle, Sarah made a dangerous assumption. She thought marrying a prince meant unlimited money. What she didn't realize was that the Yorks were perpetually short on cash, and the monarchy doesn't fund shopping sprees. The warning signs appeared almost immediately. Not long after her wedding, Sarah flew home first class from New York with more than 50 pieces of luggage. 50. The excess baggage fine was almost £1,000, a staggering amount in the late 80s. Inside that mountain of cases, around £33,000 worth of purchases, including a teddy bear that cost £515. Even Heathrow baggage handlers were stunned. One quipped that not even Joan Collins traveled with that much stuff. Royal aides were horrified. The palace refused to say who paid the fine, but that incident was just the beginning. Sarah didn't learn. She kept going on trips with 25 or more suitcases, spending between £800 and £4,000 just on excess baggage fees. Sometimes she packed entire trunks simply for her hangers. Behind palace walls, staff described her as extravagant to the extreme. One former employee said it was greed and wastefulness that contributed to her downfall. Every night she demanded a whole side of beef, a leg of lamb, and a chicken laid out like a medieval banquet. Her annual spending hit £860,000, including £150,000 on gifts, £50,000 on flowers, and £50,000 on entertaining. She surrounded herself with luxury, personal trainers, hairdressers, and Pilates instructors who waited for hours and charged hundreds per session while she slept until afternoon. Royal commentator Jenny Bond summed it up perfectly. She had a hopeless grasp of money, combined with a desire for more and more of it. When debt becomes desperation. By the early 90s, Sarah's debts spiraled out of control. She reportedly owed £4 million to Coutts Bank, one of Britain's most elite financial institutions. When her marriage collapsed in 1996, her finances went with it. Yet even after divorce, she refused to downsize. Instead, she leaned on Andrew emotionally and financially long after their relationship ended. Tina Brown described their dynamic as destructive mutual reliance. He bailed her out when she was in trouble, and she backed him up when scandal struck. But those arrangements couldn't last forever. When King Charles stripped Andrew of his titles and ordered the pair to vacate Royal Lodge,
King Charles has stripped his younger brother Andrew of his royal titles and ousted him from his long-term residence on the Windsor estate.
The royal safety net vanished, and Sarah's lavish lifestyle began crumbling. Just when it seemed Sarah might finally learn restraint, she dove headfirst into another questionable venture: cryptocurrency. In 2019, a company called Pegasus Group Holdings announced a grand plan, a £3 billion solar-powered Bitcoin mining complex in the Nevada desert. They called it the Hive. And who did they hire as brand ambassador? Sarah Ferguson. She praised the company's visionary leadership and said she was proud to join their forthcoming adventure. The deal earned her £200,000 with a promised $1.2 million bonus if the project succeeded. But it never did. Pegasus collapsed amid lawsuits and allegations of fraud, accused of using investor funds for personal gain and failing to build a single data center. By 2023, an arbitration tribunal ordered the company to pay $2.5 million in damages. By 2024, new suits alleged Pegasus raised money with no intention of running a legitimate business. Once again, Sarah Ferguson's name was tied to financial disaster, another example of poor judgment and questionable associations. This wasn't her only failed venture. She also sold her Belgravia townhouse at a loss, dropping from $4.25 million to $3.85 million in just 3 years. Her representative claimed it was an investment for her daughters, but experts saw a pattern: lavish spending, bad investments, and a habit of cashing in on royal connections. Critics say that even without the Duchess title, she continued trading on the illusion of royal glamour to attract investors, brands, and publicity, a tactic that backfired spectacularly. The woman who would sell anything for the spotlight. Today, Sarah Ferguson's empire of excess has collapsed. The woman who once demanded medieval banquets now faces consequences of a lifetime of financial recklessness. She's lost her royal home, her income streams have dried up, and her reputation is under scrutiny again. As one royal insider put it, she was a crushing spendthrift married to a cheapskate who had far less money than she thought, and she never recovered from that reality. For decades, Sarah has been her own worst enemy. Whenever it seemed she might redeem herself, she'd stumble right back into chaos. Take her string of strange commercial ventures, diet plans, self-help books, lines of teas and candles. At one point, she promoted a product claiming to energize your soul. Another time, she hawked weight loss programs while admitting in interviews she never actually stuck to them. Critics said it was less about passion, more about profit. She'd slap her name on anything that paid. A royal biographer quipped that Fergie would endorse a fridge magnet if the check cleared. Then came the infamous cash for access scandal. Hidden cameras caught her offering a journalist access to Prince Andrew for a £500,000 fee. She was filmed saying that opens up everything you would ever wish for. When the story broke, the footage went viral worldwide. Her explanation? She claimed she was desperate and drunk, apologizing through tears on Oprah's sofa. But for the royal family, the damage was done. The image of a duchess selling introductions to the Queen's son for £500,000 destroyed whatever credibility she had left. Still, Sarah seemed addicted to the spotlight. She's admitted to loving the thrill of fame, once saying public attention felt like a form of oxygen. She chased it relentlessly. Red carpets, reality shows, talk show confessions. Behind the cheerful grin, insiders say there's always been a streak of insecurity. She constantly compared herself to Diana, who remained adored long after her death. For Fergie, the press rarely showed that same affection. When she tried reinventing herself as an author, writing children's books and memoirs, critics accused her of cashing in on the royal connection yet again.
The Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, is focusing on her next chapter as the author of the new book, A Most Intriguing Lady.
While she often paints herself as the misunderstood Duchess, those close to her suggest otherwise. Former staff described her as impulsive and indulgent, one saying she could go from charming to impossible in seconds. Her love of luxury never faded. Even in years she claimed to be broke, she somehow managed to appear at lavish parties wearing couture and surrounded by celebrity friends. Royal experts have long noted her pattern is clear: charm the wealthy, secure the deal, burn the bridge, repeat. And when it all collapses, she simply rebrands. Her latest spin? Positioning herself as a modern survivor, using social media and podcast appearances to promote positivity and resilience. But it's hard to ignore the irony. A woman who preaches self-improvement while her finances remain in tatters. More recently, she's leaned heavily into her image as a cancer survivor, using it to regain sympathy and rebuild her public persona. While many admire her strength in facing illness, others can't help but wonder if she's once again turning personal pain into PR. And looming over it all is the question of money. How exactly does she afford her lifestyle? After years of debt, unpaid loans, and failed ventures, she continues to live comfortably. In one revealing interview moment, a journalist asked directly, "Did you take the money?" At one stage, you had $40,000 cash sitting in front of you. Did you take it? Sarah's response? Absolutely yes. She admitted it without hesitation. And it was given to me, and I got it in the car and then returned it straight away once the scandal broke. As soon as I knew it was a scandal, not once it broke, Michael. But don't try and trick me now, because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit. That moment tells you everything. She took the money. She only gave it back when caught. And even while admitting something shameful, she tried to control the narrative. Delete that bit. That's not taking responsibility. That's damage control while pretending to be honest. Some insiders claim wealthy friends and benefactors still step in to keep her afloat, while others suspect she's preparing a tell-all memoir that could expose private royal secrets for a lucrative deal. If history is any guide, Sarah Ferguson isn't done yet. Every time she's written off, she finds a way to claw back attention through scandal, self-promotion, or sheer audacity. But with the loss of Royal Lodge, her brand ambassador deals drying up, and her reputation once again on the line, this comeback may finally be the one that doesn't land. Because as one former royal aide put it, Sarah's greatest love has never been Andrew. It's been the lifestyle, and she'll do almost anything to keep it. The Epstein connection nobody wants to talk about. The Epstein connection makes everything darker. When someone owes you £2 million, you don't just walk away. There are strings attached to money like that. There are expectations, and those emails where Sarah pledged she was on Epstein's team. That's not the language of someone who ended a friendship.
Sarah Ferguson is at the centre of the latest Epstein scandal, with a hugely embarrassing email from April 2011.
That's the language of someone trapped, someone who needs something desperately and will say whatever it takes to get it. Think about what that means. A woman who was once part of the British royal family, who had access to palaces and the Queen herself, ended up so desperate for money that she turned to a convicted sex offender for help. And not just turned to him, but actively pledged loyalty to him. On his team. Those words should haunt her. Throughout her life, Sarah has consistently surrounded herself with people who raise eyebrows. Wealthy benefactors with murky backgrounds, business partners involved in fraudulent schemes, opportunists who saw her royal connection as a way to legitimize their own questionable ventures. She became the bridge between high society and low ethics, lending her name and title to anyone willing to pay. Royal experts point out Sarah's fundamental problem has always been the same. She has expensive tastes, but no real way to fund them. She doesn't come from money. She didn't inherit wealth. After divorce, she didn't receive the kind of settlement that would support a lavish lifestyle indefinitely. So what did she do? She tried to monetize everything: her royal connection, her story, her pain, her cancer diagnosis. Everything became a potential income stream, But monetizing trauma and controversy only works for so long. Eventually, people get tired of the same story told different ways. They see through the rebranding. They recognize the pattern. There's also the question of what Andrew thinks about all this. Their relationship has always been strange. Divorced, but still living together. Separated, but emotionally dependent.
Famously settled their divorce 10 years later in 1996. However, in the past few years, they have been seen together.
He's defended her publicly even when it hurt his own reputation. She's stood by him through his own scandals, including the disastrous Jeffrey Epstein connection that destroyed what was left of his public image. Some call it loyalty. Others call it codependency. Either way, it's kept them tied together through decades of chaos. But even Andrew's support has limits. When King Charles made it clear they needed to leave Royal Lodge, Andrew reportedly fought hard to stay. He wanted to keep that connection to royal life, that last symbol of his former status. But Charles didn't budge. Sarah had to accept that the royal protection she'd relied on for so long was finally, truly gone. No more hiding behind titles. No more using royal connections to open doors. It was over. The final verdict: victim or architect of her own ruin. So what happens next for Sarah Ferguson? Based on her history, she'll probably try to reinvent herself again. Maybe another book. Maybe a documentary where she tells her side. Maybe a speaking tour about resilience. She's done it all before, and she'll probably try again. But here's what's different this time. The world has changed. People are less forgiving of wealthy individuals crying poverty while still living in luxury. They're less tolerant of celebrities cashing in on tragedy. And they're definitely less interested in hearing a disgraced duchess talk about overcoming adversity when most of that adversity was self-inflicted. Social media has also changed the game. In the past, Sarah could control her image through carefully managed interviews and PR-approved statements. Now everything lives forever online. Every scandal, every embarrassing moment, every failed business venture is just a search away. Young people discovering her story for the first time don't see a misunderstood duchess. They see someone who made terrible choices over and over again and never really learned from them. Sarah Ferguson's story isn't about bad luck. It's about choices. She chose to spend money she didn't have. She chose to take loans from people like Jeffrey Epstein. She chose to put her name on fraudulent cryptocurrency schemes. She chose to sell access to Prince Andrew for £500,000. Those weren't accidents. Those weren't unfortunate circumstances beyond her control. Those were decisions she made, knowing full well what she was doing. The tragic part is, Sarah had every opportunity to turn things around. After the excess baggage scandal, she could have scaled back. After the divorce, she could have lived more modestly. After the cash for access disaster, she could have disappeared from public life and rebuilt quietly. But she didn't. Because the one thing Sarah Ferguson couldn't give up was the attention, the lifestyle, the illusion of still being important, still being royal, still being relevant. Royal commentators have noted Sarah's biggest mistake was believing her own fairy tale. She actually thought marrying a prince meant living happily ever after with unlimited resources. She thought the title meant something permanent and unshakable. She thought being royal meant being above consequences. And when reality proved otherwise, instead of adjusting her expectations, she just went deeper into debt trying to maintain the fantasy. Compare her to other royals who've left the family or lost their positions. Some quietly rebuilt their lives away from the spotlight. They found real careers, made genuine contributions, and earned respect through actual work rather than trading on their former status. But Sarah, she could never let go. She could never accept that the royal chapter was over. And that refusal to move on has defined her entire post-divorce life. The Bitcoin mining disaster particularly reveals how little Sarah has learned over the years. This wasn't just a minor investment gone wrong. This was a £3 billion project that never built a single thing. It was allegedly fraudulent from the start. Sarah either didn't do basic due diligence before lending her name to it, or she didn't care because the money was good. Either way, it shows spectacularly poor judgment. Again, what's especially frustrating for people watching this saga unfold is the lack of accountability. Sarah has apologized many times over the years. She's cried on television. She's admitted to mistakes. But then she just makes the same mistakes again. The apologies start to feel hollow when the behavior never changes. It's like watching someone touch a hot stove, say ouch, and then immediately touch it again while complaining about getting burned. Was Sarah Ferguson the victim of bad luck, or the architect of her own ruin? From luxury shopping sprees and lost millions to failed crypto schemes, it's clear her downfall wasn't sudden. It was decades in the making. What do you think? Was this greed, desperation, or just another chapter in the endless York family saga? The evidence suggests it's probably all three. Sarah Ferguson is greedy, yes. She wants luxury and status and attention. She's also desperate, trapped by decades of debt and questionable associations. And she's definitely part of a family pattern where scandal follows scandal with exhausting regularity. So here we are, a woman who once dined with queens now begs disgraced financiers for loans. A duchess who demanded medieval feasts now faces an uncertain future. Someone who spent decades in the spotlight might finally have to learn what it's like to live without it. Whether she can actually change, actually learn, actually grow after all these years remains to be seen. But if history is any guide, don't hold your breath. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Sarah Ferguson deserves sympathy or criticism? Can someone really change after a lifetime of the same mistakes? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories behind Britain's most controversial family, because even royal fairy tales can end in bankruptcy.